All right, welcome to the show. We're live for our 5th episode, Mr. Peck. We got a good
Oh, it's only 5th. All right, cool. Yeah. Episode 5 here.
hidden episode we're going to have to release on the DVDs we did with Mr.
Exactly, yeah. There'll be great bonus content out there eventually. You can hit the whole box set. If you're ever in quarantine again, I guess you could dial it up and watch all of them. I know we'll have to see if we continue this once we're back in school. I mean, maybe, we know some people in the know on the morning show. We might have to make this a weekly segment.
It could be. It could be a good
thing. I don't want our dozens of fans going through withdrawal once we end it at 9 episodes so we can top John Krasinski.
Our budget night might not be able to fit that. We'll figure it out. All right, so we got a great show here for you today. We're going to start with in with somebody new. We're going to do Schroeder to someone new today. And then we are officially going to have somebody old also on the show. No, I don't want to say old, but like it was like a bad
someone that's retiring and leaving Schroeder. How about that?
First, I'm going to bring on Miss Tyne. Miss Tyne, how are you?
I'm old, apparently. So there you go.
I didn't mean it like that. I'll give you a little name on that.
I am fine.
All right.
I think we set a new record onto the show with Jeff putting his foot in his mouth literally 30 seconds into going live. New record.
Standard feature, all right? And now I'm going to bring on our student. This is the first underclassman we've ever had on the show. All right. She is a 2-sport athlete. She plays soccer and lacrosse. I know she's upset about missing her lacrosse season. She is an outstanding young lady. She has some good news to share, and I'll let her share her good news first. And she also is on this show. Basically, not only is she a great person, she also happens to be my cousin. So it's one of the few sophomores whose cell number I had to be able to book her.
Nepotism.
Stephanie, nice. Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Stephanie, go ahead and share your good news with everybody.
Well, I don't have great news like the seniors who've been on the show, but I've just been trying to make masks and help out my family and friends. And I'm taking a course online at Yale right now, which I'm going to be finishing next week.
It's outstanding. That's an outstanding.
What's the course about?
It's called The Science of Well-Being, and it's just kind of the misconceptions of happiness that people tend to have, and how you may think these things will actually make you happy, but in reality they don't really have much of an effect at all.
Very cool. Like what? Give me an example.
They just talked about how people strive for the perfect job and the perfect grades and the perfect body and all that, but to some extent, after you reach a certain benchmark, there's not much more it's going to have any effect.
All right.
Very cool.
Well, I mean, Steph, you're a go-getter. We love having you on the show. All right. Thank you very much for being here. We have a special treat. The 4 of us to welcome for the first time, or introduce for the first time, to the dozens of people watching at home. I think our right now is at 4. So
there's no better way to make a Webster Schroeder debut than on this show. I mean, if you ask me.
This is big. For those of you that don't know, we lost Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins left us back in February. So there was an opening for the assistant principal job. And a bunch of people who weren't us, meaning Mr. Peck and Miss Tyne, Miss Tyne maybe, but they don't allow the 2 of us anywhere near an interview committee anymore.
Yeah, no. I interviewed Mr. Peck actually.
Yeah, so. Exactly. They saw what you guys did in an interview committee. That's why I don't hear that.
Never again. Do not put him on the committee again.
That's coming around. We hired him, so they're like, okay, we're good. But
never again.
You got glowing reviews. She got glowing reviews from everybody. She comes to us from West Irondequoit. All right. And so we'd like to welcome the show and kind of have fun and tease her and hopefully not jeopardize her career in any way.
She's hung up.
She's like,
everybody, welcome to the show. Hi, Ms. Tisber. How are you?
Hi. Thanks for having me. This is the final step of the interview process, right?
Yes.
My big screen debut.
Yep.
This is where you talk to us from your attic, I think.
Yeah, yes, I am definitely in my attic right now. You can hear the lawnmower outside. It's low production value over here.
If we go, Mr. Peck is worried about copyright infringement. So if we go any higher, we actually have. I should have started with this. We actually have an intro, a theme music show. We're gonna have theme music to do an intro that Mr. Britt is actually working on for us, and that's all I really want to say about it. Tell them to make it like Wayne's World.
We gotta make it till episode 6.
I don't know if Steph actually gets that. Steph, would you get that reference? Salito, Wayne's World? No, not at all. All right. All right. So I'm going to let our first question. We're going to fire off some questions for you if you want. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself first, Ms. Tasber.
Yeah, I'm Mrs. Tasber. I'm super excited to come to Schroeder and happy to make my big screen debut here on Schroeder Good News. I was psyched that they asked me and happy to be here.
All right. My first question is, how did you get an education? Easy
Oh,
one.
I was going to do that.
Ooh,
No,
good question.
You guys get fun ones.
This is the last step of the interview process. So I heard somewhere that most people get into education because they either had a great experience and they want to continue to provide those experiences for students, or they had a terrible experience in school and they want to rectify the mistakes. And I don't know, that's probably oversimplifying things, but I can say personally that I was in the former camp and I had wonderful teachers who helped shape the person that I became. And I just felt like, what better way to spend your days than being around students and young people and helping them, find the people that they're going to be. And it's just really cool and fun to hang out with students all day. So
I
what
agree.
brought me there.
That's my kind of answer right there.
Yep.
Mr. Peck, do you have a question?
Yeah, mine's actually, this is a Rochester specific 2-part question, so I hope you're ready. All right. And please know that you might be judged for your response to this question. So 2-part questions. 1, where is the best place to get a garbage plate? 2, what's your order?
Oh, okay. Easy. Now I have to say
right.
though too, I have never met a garbage plate that I didn't like. So,
All right, great answer.
so I mean, I can go anywhere. I love Dogtown. I live in the city, and so I like to go to Dogtown. It's cheeseburger plate, home fries, mac salad, everything.
What are your thoughts? Follow-up question. What are your thoughts on ketchup on a plate?
I put ketchup on my plate. I know I do, and I put it on though after the fact because I like to control how much is on there. So,
all right, okay.
I am a ketchup person.
Mr. Peck, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a ketchup on a plate, but I appreciate that she controls the ketchup.
Yeah.
A little, and I can respect that.
All right,
Stephanie, do you
so I have a two. Oh no, Stephanie, you go ahead.
No, you can go.
I have a 2-part question.
All right.
What was the first concert you attended, and then the last concert you attended?
Oh boy. Okay. First concert that I attended, So back in high school, I went to Rush Henrietta, and I don't know if anybody remembers when they used to have, they maybe still do this, radio contest to see which school can raise the most money to get a band to come and perform. So my first concert was seeing LFO at my high school, and if you don't know who LFO is,
I don't.
That's
And
fine.
Chinese
You're
food
better
doesn't
off.
make you sick.
Nobody who wasn't listening to 98 PXY back
I think
in
the committee made a great choice here. This is really
99 would
Big
know,
fan so far.
but that was my first concert.
Well, all right, what is LFO? Come on, for us old people here.
It was a one-hit wonder boy band in the late 90s.
Okay.
Their song was the one about Chinese food making you sick or something.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
And
line in
liking
the
girls that
chorus.
wear Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I know what you're talking about. That is awesome.
Look it up if you want to be entertained.
oh my god.
And then the last one, last concert.
Also,
Oh my gosh,
LFO.
I really
Tribute band, an
I can't
LFO
even
tribute
remember.
band.
My kids are young. My kids are 6 and 4, and they're wonderful, and they've brought so much fun to my days. But they have put a damper on some of my concert going and things like that. So the last concert I went to was probably last summer, a Lilac Festival, Party in the Park, those kinds of local kid friendly things. We had tickets to go see the Lumineers next month at Saratoga, and that obviously got canceled. So I was kind of bummed about that because that was going to be something I was looking forward to. But it's all good.
Well, those are 2 outstanding answers.
I have to write LFO down so I check it
I'm
out.
still laughing about the LFO.
LFO, sorry.
I don't think I've really referenced LFO
I'm going to
in
go
20 years.
and check that out.
Stephanie, it's your choice to go on a
Yes.
question.
My question was, what is your favorite TV show of all time, and have you been binge watching a show over the quarantine?
Okay. Yeah. My all-time favorite TV show, at the risk of sounding incredibly basic, is The Office. And I was a fan back when, we used to, without even having a DVR, we had to watch the shows, had to be on the couch Thursday nights at 9:00. So that's my all-time favorite. I have been doing some binge watching over the quarantine. I'm a little embarrassed to say I'm really into MTV reality shows, some of those guilty pleasure things. So we've been catching up on old episodes of Jersey Shore, Family Vacation, and but we're watching season 3, I think, of Ozark too right now, which is great.
Don't ruin that for me. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Lips are sealed.
Oh, my son is hooked on it.
So good.
I have not gotten there yet. All right, we have our other guests. All right, waiting, and I want everybody who's watching to know that the studio is close to being full. So because we have our waiting room. So if anybody's trying to get in, that I talked to and isn't I'll get you in, I promise. But everything, our next segment should be happening now. But we want to give you this opportunity to actually, I don't know, do you have a welcome message for everybody at Schroeder that you want to end with?
Everybody that I've met at Schroeder, virtually, of course, but everybody that I've met has been so wonderful and welcoming, and it seems like a great place to be. And I am just so excited to meet everybody, hopefully in person soon, and to get started. So I can't wait.
We're excited. We're excited
too.
To paraphrase Clark Griswold, we are the jolliest bunch of teachers this side of the nut house.
Oh, what a good one.
There's a lot of theme days and things that we dress up. Mr. Peck and I think you kind of we fit into that opposite mold of professionalism and love what we do. It seems like you very much love what you do. And Miss Time keeps us. She room is right.
I am stuck in the middle of the two of you. Peck's on my left and Eckler's on my right.
You'll often notice that administrators might just pass by our hallway because they just.
Yeah, but you're on the west side, so it's all good.
Yeah, you are on the west side. West side's the best side.
Yes.
Exactly. We hope to see you in the fall. We all hope we are returning to normal, and we can't thank you enough for joining us here on the show. So
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, congratulations. And we look forward to a great relationship.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See ya. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, Miss Time. Steph, I'm going to hang on to you because our next guest, I know you currently have him as a instructor too. All right, Miss Time, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Anything you want to add?
I can't wait to get back to school to see everybody. I'm tired of sitting in this chair.
Did you get all your pumpkin spice coffee out of school yet? Or
Oh yeah, day one.
Okay.
The Monday we were supposed to go back, that we could go back on the 17th, gathered it all up and brought it home.
That's awesome.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Mrs. Tyne. I'll bring that up soon.
All right, and then there were 3 introducing. So
I'm still laughing about LFO, by the way. If I
great
the rest of the show, if I break into a giggle at any point, it's because I'm still thinking about her.
Can we get her a poster of that for her office? We just.
I'm 100% going to look on eBay after this.
Oh, that's going to be great. I'm going to hear that. All right, so I'm going to bring in next somebody who this year is actually retiring from Webster Schroeder, and he quietly always wants to leave because he's a professional. He was my JV baseball coach. He's been a mentor to me for a long time, as a teacher, as a friend. Steph, I know you currently have him in class. We also have 2 students who are going to introduce as well. But I know he's been working incredibly hard to make the adjustment as somebody that isn't like a technology wizard by any stretch of the imagination. But I know he's been busting his tail because of how much he really cares about teaching. So, Mr. Kennedy, how are you today?
Doing okay. It's good to see everybody.
Welcome to the show.
I know it's been a long day for you, and I hope this is enjoyable for you. All right.
Well, I don't know. I cut in the part where the old person was going last, and I'm looking at the screen and it says Schroeder Good News. I don't know what. Great.
Look, now I can put you down as Mr. Kennedy. See, I can do that. We're big time here. This is a big time.
like we said, Jeff set a world record for putting his foot in his mouth. I mean, you've known him long enough that you know that is one of his special skills, and he did it within like 30 seconds of the show starting, which is even by his standards is really impressive.
I thought maybe you'd have the Schroeder good news like neon flashing, pointing at me retirement.
I might, maybe I can do that. I don't know if you didn't want anything special. So
not at all. I actually was hoping Tasper would still be on because I was going to tell her that I'm retiring because they hired her.
I'm sure she's still watching. She's one of our dozens of fans now.
Well, I haven't met her yet, so it's a perfect introduction.
I should add a crossover. That's my mistake. We're rookies at this. Like that, I definitely should add a crossover there. But I want to make sure that Steph got in. Steph, anything you want to say, Mr. Steve, for now?
We did good today on our Zoom. We didn't crash. I was very proud.
I hope. I kept my gerbil wheel spinning really hard so the power wouldn't fail.
Yeah, I just appreciate how much you're doing. I think you were one of the first teachers who really went into the distant learning. Even that first week, we're making an effort just trying to get it. And I just love the organization and the structure you're putting into it to make sure we get all our units in. That's
really nice. Yeah, I wish I could bottle that attitude and put it up with my chemical storage and pass it out to kids who need it.
And Mr. Kennedy, I also want to bring in 2 other students currently who also wanted to say hello, and they also have some good news to share. First up, Mateo, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, Mateo.
Hi, Mateo. Mateo, you got some good news to share with Webster Schroeder?
Yeah. I mean, we got some good things going on over at my house. Moving things along, staying active. I got out to fish this weekend, and hopefully we'll be going out after this too. So, looking forward to being outside.
That's awesome. And then also joining us. All right. Alex, do you want to introduce this next young lady?
Yes, this is a young lady that I've had the pleasure of teaching this year. And if you checked on twitter.com, she painted a ceiling tile for my room that I can't wait to see in person and look at every day. So, Schroeder Good News, please welcome Maddie as our next guest.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
Do you have some good news to share with Webster Schroeder?
I do. So this past week, I got my seal of biliteracy, which is a seal that goes on your high school diploma, and it says you're literate in 2 languages. So mine are English and Spanish.
Give us a little bit of Spanish for us.
What?
Give us a little bit of Spanish for us right now.
Okay. Pues me llamo Maddie. He estudiado español por casi 8 años. That's
it. 8 years.
That's perfect. That's all we need.
Yeah. Donde está la biblioteca?
Yeah. I got through 4 years of Spanish by just saying más o menos. Like almost. I would just be like más o menos, así, and like it seemed to work. A lot of the exams.
Oh my God!
It's like shrug, like and so. It seems an answer for it. Mateo, anything that you want to add and say to Mr. Kennedy, because we know that he is leaving us this year, and I know you've had him as a teacher.
Yeah, just thank you for everything you've done for me as a student, as a person, and I got to say my thanks as well during the fall as you being my teacher for Teacher Appreciation Night. You mean a lot to me, and you've taught me a lot about not only chemistry, the subject that you taught for me, but also a lot about being a person. And you've definitely played a role in me choosing the field I want to go and study in college as well.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you very much.
Maddie?
So environmental science was really fun this year. There was never a dull moment. I really liked when you got mad at the Dell board all the time. That was really fun. It's so fun to see that through online learning. Other than that, you're like one of the best teachers I've ever had. Obviously, Mr. Peck, you're one of them too.
I just want our audience to know I've never had Maddie as a student, so it's not fair game. It's not.
But Mr. Kennedy, I appreciate all that you've done. And you're an awesome person, and I'm going to miss you so much.
Again, I'm honored to hear that. I'm not very good taking compliments and stuff. So, thanks to all the 3 people on the board here at the high school are, phenomenal. So anyone that's watching, you guys are role models in yourselves. So it makes it a lot of fun when you're dealing with individuals who are engaged, have a sense of humor. It's excellent.
So, Mr. Kennedy, I have to ask you, and I know I'm enjoying the uncomfortableness sometimes that you have, because I know you don't like getting praise and things like that. So I really appreciate you joining us, because I think we know and care about. You wanted nothing to do with any kind of like retirement send off or whatnot. So it's a small little. I feel like it's our own Saturday Night Live skit. We've got you.
And then he agreed to be on this show, and he's going to regret that decision.
And because it's a live platform, you just can't go anywhere.
Well, I'm way more comfortable with a baseball bat, a ball in my hand, hitting ground balls at you really hard when you don't have a mitt. So, way more comfortable.
I want a bonus episode where it's just, Jeff, I want a bonus episode of this show where I have your teachers on that had you in high school, and I can just hear about what an absolute menace and you were like. Because I mean, I've known you for 7 years now. I think you were literally the first person I met at Schroeder, and I can't even imagine what you were like as a teenager.
That's pretty much the same.
Whatever you got for him, you got to realize that I taught and coached Sanfilippo also. So,
yeah.
I'm so proud of Maddie because she did the bilingual thing. I don't even think Sanfilippo got the mono linguist. I think he had the null linguist on his stamp on his diploma.
Seeing that you are going out, we could just turn this into like a Mr. Kennedy roast. Right, we could just absolutely. I mean, you would just could roast the whole building, like go right down the list.
I'll be roasting right back. That's fine. I taught half you miscreants. You know, notice all the kids that struggled back in the '90s and the 2000s. We hire them. So
that's actually really funny. So I have to ask you, Mr. Kennedy, what is it you will miss most about teaching?
I'm going to switch that around. I'm always going to teach. So I'm not going to miss teaching because I'm not teaching. Whatever I do next, there's going to be learning process. There's going to be communication. There's going to be betterment for me and for whoever I'm working with. I'm too much of a social person. So there's going to be, I don't have to miss teaching. That's always going to be a part of something that I do. But as far as the building's concerned, I've been there for 31 years. I've had that room when I started in 89, 90. And, you know, it's a great building. It's housed thousands of phenomenal young people who continue to participate in our community. And that's the part, the relationships. Fortunately, Mr. Struggy has offered to let me stay on as a coach, so I don't have to totally go cold turkey. Hopefully I'll be around in the fall because we'll have sports. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's gonna be we'll say that's gonna be our topic for another day. Do you have? I know it's been a moment. Do you have a favorite memory at Schroeder? I know you have to have several, but
I mean, I don't want to bore everyone out there because there's memories happening constantly. When Maddie is in, obviously, you guys know my tech. I try to embrace tech, but tech breaks on me all the time. Chalk breaks on me, so let alone a computer. They're one of the first good inventions up in that room we got were these new screens we could pull down for our overheads. That was new technology in 1992. And the screen wouldn't stay. I'd pull it down, boom, up. I'd pull it down. And finally got sick of it. So I climbed up, I grabbed the whole screen off the ceiling. I opened the windows and we did a gravity test. And we shut it out in the road. And you know, that's what I wanted to do with the Dell board this year too. And I almost got to that point, but I didn't have the right ratchet setting to unhook it from the board. So
I'd like to add, one time we were reviewing in class for AP and everything was going wrong. He had 2 screens of his face. He was trying to get the Dell board to project whatever. Nothing was working. So he had his laptop set up and he was going back and forth between 2 different chalkboards. Like, okay, can you see this? Can you see this? And he's like that. And it was so funny.
It's all about
I have to say this though. Mr. Kennedy was absolutely amazing with the overhead projector. Wizard with that thing. Like I've seen him. He had like things out. It was unbelievable. So you guys might have missed out on seeing some real skill there. with those.
They got to still see They got to see the overhead. Don't worry.
They did. Okay, good.
Too bad you never taught Mr. Ward how to not get the overhead markers like all over his person and body.
Hey. Last question, last thing right now, Mr. Lambert, and then I'm going to let the students go real quick.
Mr. Lambert.
That's Mr. Kennedy, by the way.
Mr. Kennedy, I'm sorry.
I've been called Mr. Brinka over the last couple of weeks. Thank God. It's the only one that you don't, call me Miss Ham. I guess I'm all right.
I'm sorry. There's these emails coming in and things like that. My son just walked down here. So
hey, Tyler.
Hey, hi, Tyler. What advice for the class of 2020? What's that? I gotta go. All right. What's the bad news?
The question was what advice you have for the class of 2020, Mr. Kennedy?
Hi.
All right. So Mateo, just look at this now. As great as kids are, you're also seeing a great ad of why you got to practice Planned Parenthood. You got to be make sure you're right? All right?
Oh, man.
Get your degree, get your job, because that's what they do. That's what you do.
Yeah, the message has definitely been received. Don't worry.
I love this show. All right, Maddie, Mateo, I'm going to say goodbye.
Oh, man.
Hey, come here. No. This duck.
I can't stop laughing.
Oh, Craig's in there. All right. Maddie, Mateo, Steph, hold on. Steph, thank you so much for joining us on this show. We will see you lots more. All right. I'm going to let Steph go. All right, Maddie, do you have any advice for the class of 2020 or anybody to get through this quarantine?
What's been helping me is like keeping in a routine. Like if you ever get stuck in a rut, just like take a shower, get ready, whatever, get yourself outside. It really helps to get some fresh air, but just keep staying positive, keep connecting with everybody. Do your best. We're all doing our best.
You're awesome, Maddie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maddie, for coming on for us.
Bye.
Bye, Maddie.
All right. This is a little bit more tricky. Mateo, all right.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for the class 2020?
I'm going to kind of reiterate what Maddie said and just make sure, you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your family. Because, those are the family is, it's your most important people. So keep them close, keep them safe. And, just make sure you're keeping the nose to the grindstone. I know it's almost summer, so try and get outside as much as we can and just stay connected with everyone and just hope everyone stays safe.
Thank you, Mateo. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Solid advice, my man.
We met you. We'll see you around. I know that.
Yeah, Brinka said hello to him.
Oh, I know. And that's the other thing. Do you want to so lastly, I was going to say.
From its undisclosed location in the Adirondacks.
I know Mr. Brinka, you have talked to Mr. Brinka, and a lot of people have asked to get Mr. Brinka on the show. Is there anything that you want to pass along from Mr. Brinka to our viewers that might actually be listening?
He just wishes everybody the best. He's proud of everybody. The AP Bio kids, obviously, because that's who he's been teaching this year, but all the students he's taught over the years. He gets a lot of sophomores and juniors, so they're supposed to be graduating, and obviously he just thinks the world of them, and the best and do your best coming up, and good luck with whatever you find is your reality for this fall.
Well, that was thank you for that. Now, Mr. Kennedy, I know that we had mentioned earlier like if we were going to have a roast, and I thought there are a few people I know that would like to say a few things to you that might actually have some stories that are beyond school related.
Right, we're really toying with the PG-13 rating of this show.
Maybe we can start with Peter DeWitt.
No,
Mr.
Kennedy,
DeWitt, how are you? Do you have a good Greg Kennedy story you'd like to share with us today?
Man, I don't know if I can follow up with those students we just were talking with there, but I feel honored. And before I get going on here with Mr. Kennedy, I want to thank you and Mr. Peck there for this show that you put on. I think this is phenomenal. Grace, as a senior, she's watched every episode. So,
good. We've got 2 viewers.
Yeah. Ms. Kennedy,
because of that, she can be on the show next week.
Unfortunately, this is seen by younger generation, I think we could have a lot more fun if this was the adult version. So I had about 10 stories, but I can only 1 through 9. 1 through 9, I can't even say. So I figured I would just jump to the 10th story, and one of the questions was asked, what would Mr. Kennedy not know that I have as a story? And I think you pretty much know them all except for one. And I had to dig deep for this because we're pretty close, and I consider you one of my best friends and a mentor. So back in 1993, when I was on the volleyball team, actually, I back in 1990 was your first year, correct? 1990.
89, 90.
Yeah. So I was a freshman, and as a freshman, I was on varsity, so I thought I was a big wig, and I was one of the best players there. And then you walk into the gym, and I'll never forget turning to some of the other volleyball players, and I look at him, I go, "There's no way this guy can play volleyball," and I never told you that. And then I go about a week, maybe a couple of days, and you went up and crushed a volleyball, and I took a back seat real quick, and it's something that I never told you. And we've been playing together now for 20 plus years, and you've been a heck of a player, and you've taught me everything I have about volleyball, and I still carry that on. So I want to thank you. So it's not really a roast; it's just something I've never told you before.
No, I haven't heard the story. That's awful nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah. And one other thing I have to piggyback on from the previous part of the show. It was funny how you said the people that you taught in the 90s and 2000s or everyone were hiring. I failed chemistry. So
I'm one of them.
Here I am.
I thought it was the greatest line ever. He's like, we hire everybody that doesn't do them. And I'm like, I'm in that category too.
I mean,
it's speaking of people in that category.
We went to Rush Henrietta. We got
there's another person that's definitely in that category who's the athletic director at this point. So, Mr. Streggy, thanks for joining us on the show. We've had your wife on, but we have not had you on.
Class of '94, C minus student. Here I am. So, thank you for having me.
He was better than that.
Do you have a story to share from Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, and like many other people, I have, I'm sure, a ton of good stories that would give you a little bit of a flavor of what he's like. Most people know him as somebody who brings a lot of people together, but I'll take it down the technology edge because I know that he often fights with technology. So he was instrumental in introducing my wife and I. We were both young teachers. He was sort of like, I don't know. He was the Schroeder Good News guy back before we were doing anything with technology, and so he.
I gotta pause you there. There is footage somewhere of Greg Kennedy on the morning show that is epic, and I don't know who has that, Mr. DeWitt, if you do or something. But there is some incredible footage of him from like when I know I was in school. So anyway,
I think he had hair though back then.
I thought of that, and I mean, there's some really good. There's got to be VHS tapes or something of those.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just thought of that.
So anyway, we decided to ask Mr. Kennedy to speak at our wedding and to do like an introduction, and we had way too many people, all these people all over the place. He gets up there and he's about to do a toast, and Mr. Technology, his cell phone starts ringing. I don't even think at the time many people had cell phones. I mean, it was so long ago. But anyway, his cell phone started ringing, and everyone thought it was great. And we still tell that story. We think it's really funny that that happened because it couldn't be a better start to our. We've enjoyed every day since. So we owe a lot of it to him.
It was actually the Reverend who was supposed to say grace before dinner started, and he didn't show, or he was late, or the Pony Express didn't get his message to him or something.
Who knows
so
where he was?
Ready to just go free on the dinner grace, and I think it was Shannon calling from home. It was either that or Kim's mom. It was probably Kim's mom. It's probably the mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Well, you pulled it off, Greg, because I was at that wedding and I never heard that story. So that was pretty good on your part.
Well, basically the phone started going off, and I just did a quick chuck to the side, and I don't know where it landed. Probably in the food. Probably in their freezer on the top tier of the cake they're saving for the 25th anniversary.
This is epic. So while I have all you guys here, and there's a general volleyball theme, I do have somebody also backstage that isn't a teacher, but there's another individual, and I know I want to make sure I get him on because he told me that he's busy at home. There's all kinds of projects going on. There's things like this, and he wanted to make sure he came on as well. So this is someone whose business we tend to employ at Webster Schroeder in the DJ business, but he also knows Mr. Kennedy from back in the day. Mr. Cranston, how are you?
I am fantastic. I wish we were here under better circumstances, but I guess it's celebratory. I mean, you know, maybe you can come out and say, hey, I'm going to be here for another 20 years.
I feel like I'm reuniting like a volleyball team here or something. This is
It's like well, you know what? I'm waiting to happen, Mr. K. Is for you to have a Wolf of Wall Street moment where he's in the front of of his team with a microphone and he's banging. I'm not leaving. But
my mind was going in other parts. I was worried about the car going around the country club scene.
But so can I like do my thing here because I have a little bit of a prepared shtick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You can share your Greg Kennedy story with the rest of us.
Is this going to be on the morning show with Miss Ham or how?
This is right now.
This is live.
You are
on
live
YouTube right now
on YouTube right now to 4 people. So scroll your business across the bottom of the screen. I could do that if you want to.
Oh my goodness! All right. Well, so I prepared this last night. I was just kind of jotting down some notes, and like, you know, I didn't know if I should do this whole thing in my Jim Rome impression, like absolutely unbelievable. You're retiring, arugula, Greg Kennedy, you know, or should I mean, what do you say to someone who like fills so many roles within your life? I mean, you've been like a coach, a teacher, a friend, a brother, a dad. You're like one Irish Ivy League nugget of a lot of different roles of my life. I mean, I can't imagine. I have a better relationship with you than half of the people I went to high school with that I should be in contact with. So when I said to my wife last night, I'm like, hey, I got to go on a call this afternoon at 3:00. My coach is retiring. And she's like, your coach? I'm like, yeah, my coach. She's like, you're 42 years old. Why are you still in touch with your coach? I said, it's Greg Kennedy. Oh, okay. All right. So I you know, 30 years. Is that what we're looking at?
I think I've got Alzheimer's. I don't know anymore.
But he's still coaching. That's always still like important. We still have to coach. So yeah.
I mean, so what you're going to go with now is like you're going to go into retirement, which I don't know. The jury's out. You were retired the last 30 years. All I remember from high school was Mark's Pizza, Lambert's office, maybe an occasional run to Taco Bell, or a run to Webster Hops with Schneggenberger. But you know, so that's the comedic part of my routine. But in all seriousness, I mean, you opened the door to the sport. I absolutely love it. I don't play ball anymore, but I do play volleyball quite frequently. You brought me to parts of the globe that I never thought I would be at. And it's because of you and you believing in me. Thought I'd bring that out for you. The old Baseballs and Bandages article that you were quoted in there about me and the fact that I love bananas. So I can't pop a beverage, so I'm going to unpeel a banana in your honor. But, you know, for those of you who don't know me, if you're a student, my name's Rich. I'm 42 years old. I don't live in my mom's basement, but what this man has done for me over the years is unbelievable. I mean, it's like you read it out of a book and you watch it in a movie, and he, you know, he's our Greg Kennedy. So I've been able to play volleyball all around the world. This is my uniform from China. I played in Ireland. I'm not 6'4". I'm not Pete DeWitt. You know, I'm Rich Cranston. I'm a 5'11". 6 foot if I puff my chest out. But I love the sport and I represent my country. It's real cool. So, Coach, I can't even call you Greg. It's just not going to happen. I think I've called you Greg like 3 times, and one was out of necessity because we were passing at 10 Ugly Men, and Greg! I'm like, I'm sorry, Coach. You know what I mean? So I have some things for you. One being just a little tchotchke from our team. It's a coaster. There was rumor that you might be microbrewing, maybe, and you and I talked about that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure what you're going to do, but I'm sure you'll have a cold water to rest us on or something. So there's a little something. Number two is a hat, and I know how you are with hats. This is from an NFL referee. I went to a Patriots game in October. This is from that locker room. And there's a couple things I've accumulated over the years because I knew this ball was going to drop at one point. And
DeWitt's going to steal that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
True Patriots fan right there. I love it.
Absolutely.
DeWitt's going to steal it and just smell it.
I know, right? It smells like chowder because it was in Boston and they had excellent clam chowder. And the last thing I've been holding on for a very long time. So in 2013, I medaled in Ireland playing volleyball. And you've seen this before, but what you haven't saw was this. Do you still golf?
Yeah, poorly.
Okay, great. All right.
I'm in the.
So
he's got tea time in 10 minutes. Yeah.
I know what a fan of you are with the Irish heritage, and this is from the Guinness store in Dublin. It's a golf hat. What are those things called? Like a cover?
Yes.
Yep. A golf hat cover. It's from Guinness. So I've been holding on to that for you for a very long time. And I wish you the absolute best. I know this is not certainly going to be a goodbye, but it is a closure of a chapter that only one person can write, and that's you. And it's been absolutely amazing, the impact you've had on all of us, me included. I mean, I'll read your book on leadership. I'll read your book on coaching. I'll watch The Last Dance if you do something on Netflix. It's been great, and I love you for that, and in many different roles. So
that's choking me up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rich. And, that was excellent.
Boy.
Props. I never know what's going to happen in this show. That was excellent. I really appreciate it. And I have a couple people I have to get on too. So thank you so much. And I know Greg will keep talking to you. So take care.
Great baseball
guys.
player.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Miss you guys.
Thanks for coming on.
All right. Before I bring on our next guest, I'm also going to say goodbye. Mr. Strege, I'm going to say goodbye to you, I think, real quick. All right. So I can add on two more things. I got one more person that I want to bring on because I had to have somebody on the show who works at Thomas. They told me it was like in my contract with the superintendent. So when he heard that we were doing this thing for Mr. Kennedy, which Mr. Kennedy knew nothing about, and I was like, well, he's going to hate it anyway, but it's live TV. He can't go anywhere. So I said, sure, let's bring him on. So, Julio, how are you doing? Dudeness.
Big Mike here.
No equity. No equity.
He's been
all right,
waiting.
that's it. That's your segment. See you later, Mike.
Listen, I got things I got to say.
I don't have a mute button. I can kick him out whenever you want, Greg. I just want you to know.
PG rated there. PG.
Yeah. For those you don't know, I'm Mike DiTullio. I taught at Schroeder for 18 years. I started at Schroeder in 1997, and I didn't have a gambling problem. And then after 2 years in the building, with access to Greg Kennedy, I developed a gambling problem. So let's review. World Series, Super Bowl, March Madness, Masters. So now my wife has frozen my bank account. I don't even have my own ATM card, and I blame you, mister. I blame you.
Well, if you were better at it, you'd be happy.
That's true. There's no argument there. Listen, I was Zooming with my kids today, and we're talking about To Kill a Mockingbird. And this is weird because I was watching for a while, Greg, and I kind of felt uncomfortable with you when you were uncomfortable with all the unbelievable compliments you got from your kids. And I had just gone over this line from To Kill a Mockingbird where one of the characters says, people in their right minds never take pride in their talents. People in their right minds never take pride in their talents. And that is you. I had a couple of role models when I got to Schroeder, and you were one of them, and that guy across the hall from you, Mr. Brinko, was another one. And I tried to stay away from that wing because when I walked by, my brain would fry because of the scientific language I heard, because I'm not a science guy. I'd much rather be where Mr. Peck and Mr. Eckler were. But I would walk by rooms, and there were always kids in the classroom. Always kids in Mr. Brinka's room, always kids in Mr. Kennedy's room. And I think if anyone wants to be remembered as a teacher, I think that's how you want to be remembered, that you were with kids. And that's what you did. And you and your compadre across the hall were two of the best. And an incredible vacuum has been created. Of course, it will be filled, but not in the same way. And it's kind of a bummer that you're leaving us, but I know you're going on to better things, and your time, you feel like maybe you can't do any more, or that the time is right. And God bless you. I don't have any funny stories. My wife. My wife.
Hi.
Honoring Greg Kennedy. Why, I don't know, but we are. So listen, don't know that I'll ever be able to adequately put into words what having you as a role model means, what having Matt Brinka as a role model means. But I am super happy that you guys are retiring, because it's probably what you want. And I wish you luck, and hopefully we'll see you down the road.
You will. You will.
Thank you, Mr. Tulio.
All right, so long, guys.
That's awesome.
Hey, Jeff, before you bring on the next guest, I just want to let Mr. Kennedy know that I just got a call from Cruz, and he was hoping he was going to be able to be on the show with you today, but he couldn't make it because he had an appointment. And he wanted me to share with you that he knows you're going to love retirement, and that he hopes you come back and work for another 10, 20, maybe 30 years, just like he does in retirement.
Yeah, we're gonna keep employing you indefinitely. Just like we have.
Oh, you mean Jim Cruz? I thought you meant Penelope Cruz. I thought. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, she's a big fan of the show too.
It is okay. It is okay because we do have somebody who is from Cruz's era that definitely wanted to come on. He's been waiting forever. So, Mr.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Hey, great
Welcome back.
show, Mr. Eckler, Mr. Peck.
Why,
I
thank
would be
you.
happy tuning in. What a great job here.
We're trying. We're trying every week. Now, I know you have 10,000 Greg Kennedy stories. All right.
No question.
And we admit.
Mr. Kennedy is one of my dearest friends. I love him. I love his family a little more than him. But one of the best teachers I ever got a chance to work with. What an honor to coach with him for all those years. I'm glad our professional lives lined up like they did. I got so many stories, but now that I see Pete's face, I think I will tell one. I'll put him down a little bit. Before I forget myself, I mean, Greg was always willing to get involved, just like everybody else on the screen, but with the life of the school, whether it be Jar Wars or whether it be being a pink crayon during senior week or writing a crayon to Uptown Girl. Always, and that all that stuff is so critical. So his role, and he took care of the staff. E216 was a rest stop for the rest of the staff to go in and get his sage advice. I know I was there on a very, very frequent basis. But actually,
who's going to get that office? I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, the class.
Nobody can fill that office. We got to leave it vacant for a year.
We just got to keep the refrigerator. That's all.
So the one story, I'll boil it down to the one story. So Greg and I walk into a gym in August of 1990, and there's a bunch of
I'm already
athletes all on the top part of the bleachers looking down at us thinking, those two clowns can't teach us anything. And so the principal at the time, open house and our match at Brighton conflicted. So the principal said, well, we don't really need a counselor at open house, but we do need our chemistry teacher. So Greg has enough time to get 2 games in and wins easily, very easily. Gives me the lineup for the rest of it. So he's thinking there's going to be one more game. And people like Pete DeWitt bamboozled me. Coach would want it this way. I know he told you this, but he would really want it this way. You look at someone like Pete DeWitt, he wouldn't lie or manipulate you, whatever. So I went with it. Don't we lose 3 fast games? And we had to go back to open house, the end of open house, and face Coach Kennedy. But he was, of course, gracious and wonderful. But the athletes, the guys, realized from that point forward, I think, that maybe Coach Kennedy knew what he was doing. As a matter of fact, he led them on. Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all the way to the States that year. Is that correct?
Yeah, they got to the state finals.
Yes. So they trusted his coaching expertise. So,
out of curiosity, do we know how many games you guys lost there? Was Lambert responsible for like 50% of the losses on that team?
Yeah, I think that was it.
That was true.
That's the difference between Lambert and Kennedy, and I'm between the two of them, right? Is Lambert had, what was it, a 1-year retirement party, and Kennedy wants not even 1 day of a retirement party. That's the 2 different personalities we're working here with.
Ty's was a full-blown like retirement tour. Like it was like Kiss. Like it just went for like years and years and years.
He was retiring when I first started teaching. He had like Ty had mastered the intern on top of the intern. 2 interns working.
Retired, he hadn't actually done his job in probably 6 or 7 years.
And some very, very fine counselors out there right now.
All right, Mr. Kennedy, we have had teachers, we've had former students on, we've had current students on, we've had former players on, but we have not yet had anybody who is a member of your own family. So, Mitchell, what are you doing?
Hey, Dad, stop stealing all the Wi-Fi downstairs.
That's me in technology. It's just I'm a magnet for it.
I know. While you guys are here, I just pulled this picture down. I don't know if you can see it, but back when Pete's actually in that.
I am.
There's a picture of my dad when he had hair there.
I think I can. It doesn't help.
It actually comes through. You just got to angle it, keep it the same
like
spot.
That?
Because then it
there
gets
you go.
Yeah, there we go.
His hair. Look at that.
Yeah, who's that guy with the hair there? Who is that?
I know.
I think
yeah, 1990. So I got that hanging in my room, which is nice to look at. But yeah, I have one story. I tried to keep it related to Webster. When I was I was really young. I don't really remember when, but my dad was doing pretty cool experiments. I don't know if they still do it, but they have. He put a tower of bubbles on this kid's arm, and he said, "Whatever you do, don't move your arm while I do this." And you light the bottom of the bubbles, and it like blows up, kinda. And I think he pulled down and like burnt his arm pretty bad. But I was never a chemistry guy, but those were always cool, those experiments. But also, do you guys? I always remember vividly sunburned softball. I don't know if you guys still do that anymore. I don't have any particular stories from it, but that was always really cool. Watching, I'm glad Ty's on. I remember Ty being like pitching and sunburned softball, being a bully and everything.
Mitchell, I have to ask you, I was around when you guys were young kids. Your dad brought you guys absolutely everywhere. Like, he did not stop, carrying his, like I have kids now, and it's like, yeah, I can't go there. I can't do this. Like, your dad would just, no, we're going to the game, and they're going to sit in the car, or they're going to come with us, or we're going to this place, and they're going to stay there. So, you remember, like, being around all of that, like baseball and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I loved it. It was great. We used to go to, his softball games, the bar after. We were always there. It was great. I remember going to practicing with the Webster varsity team when I was, so small. And I remember my mom coming in too with Shannon and getting pegged by volleyballs and everything. And it was awesome. That's definitely the reason I got so into volleyball was, going to those practices and just being raised around the game.
Mitchell, one of my favorite moments was when your father called me as I'm getting on the bus and told me that he had just had a son, and I announced it to the guys on the bus, and they just all lost their minds just screaming. It was very touching.
Yeah, and you brought the bus to our house and everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, that was great. But definitely my best memory was never losing to Webster Schroeder. My 4 years.
Oh, there we go. Wow. Dad, do you have any response to that?
Yeah, I guess he's got Alzheimer's also because he lost his freshman year when he was on varsity. He doesn't count it because he didn't play, but we beat Fairport 2 matches his freshman year.
No, I don't remember that.
It was. You know what though, Mitchell? It was probably Lambert coaching those times.
Yeah, it was probably open house. It was an open house night. Mitchell, thanks for joining us. I got to remove you just because there's Wi-Fi also in your house, and you were going to be the closer, but our other joiner joined on a little late. And this is, I promise you, Mr. Kennedy, our last guest, and then you can stop tweeting. But Mitchell, thanks so much for joining us on that.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
See you, Mitch.
So we had a former student, we had current students, we've had everybody else that I could think of, except for a former administrator. And so our former administrator that we all became friends with, over the years, and then he left us on for Fairport. Mr. Groh, how are you?
Hey guys, how are you?
I know you have a Greg Kennedy story or two to swap to end our show and permanently let Greg text me how much he hates me for doing this.
Well, one, working in Fairport now, I can never say anything about Greg as he's a community member out there. And, my job is to make sure things are best for them. And now, especially retiring right there, he's going to be hanging around the village, probably walking around. I'll see him outside school probably during the day. So, I'm not going to say anything that's going to upset him anymore.
As a fellow Fairport resident, I'm also in the JP catchment, so I'm always out on the look for Mr. Groh if anybody's talking about him on the mean streets here in Fairport.
I can use all the help I can get out there. Greg, how many years have you been at Schroeder in Webster now?
This is trying to finish up my 31st year.
I left, so I was 10 years at Schroeder, and and Pete and Ty and Jeff, obviously Greg, you were there, and Alex, you got to jump in when I was still there, which was great. And so 10 years, and it seems like a drop in the bucket to how long you've been there and the things you've accomplished there. It's so strange, because I'd say it'd be about a 45-year stay. People asked about me, and I remember when I was first applying for the assistant principal job at Schroeder, the only people I really kind of knew in Webster was Gary Tyrone and Scott Morrison. And because I was an athletic director before that, so I had worked with those guys. And, Gary had told me a couple people like who to get to know when you get the job there. And you were right at the top of that list right there, just as a guy you could go to for answers, to help out with questions. And, regardless of the problems I was having, whether it's with a kid, with a staff member or whoever, I always appreciate it. Easy. You have a good answer for everything. I mean, you dealt with Ty for all those years, for God's sakes, and kept him in line there too. So I knew right away you'd be an easy person to go to if we had any issues right there. And right up until I left, 4 years I've been gone already now too. And you did a lot just advocating for me and helping me out as I was going right there too. So like Jeff said, and listening to Mitch talk right there, just about just on the coaching side and things you've done. The best thing, Greg, you've helped so many different people along the way, just with where they're at as people, and certainly in the profession right there too. So I'm certainly happy to call you a friend and have you around right there. And it's gonna be a big loss for Schroeder this year.
Yeah. Again, thanks a lot. I'm happy that Pat and Ty get to be on the show here because we've got a lot of students. Well, maybe Eckler's only got 2 students watching, but there's actually playback audience that had both Ty and experience Pat being around, even though it's been 4 years ago. So I'm sure some of the kids are just delighted to be able to see you guys and see that things are going so well for you.
We were watching too.
Hey, Greg, can I ask you a question real quick? Is it really stressful working at Fairport? Because I noticed that you've gotten a little grayer over the last couple of years.
No, it's the quarantine haircut. I haven't gone this long without a haircut in about 15 years.
I mean, you look great. You look great. Don't get me wrong. It's just
no, it's
a little gray.
Listen, middle school's a dream. The kids are easy. It's fun stuff. There's never any problems.
Yeah.
So
Oh my goodness.
So
well, I want to thank everybody. For being a part of this, Mr. Kennedy. I will promise, and I'll let you know. What's he got there? Is that boo?
It's the opposite day.
Just say hi. Greg, one more person wants to say hi.
Who wants to say hi? Hey, hello, Miss Lambert.
Yes.
You look beautiful.
I just want to know this was the show. I did have students who absolutely had said we want to have Mr. Kennedy on, and I set that up. And then I got this idea, I don't know, wherever it was, like the middle of last week. And Mr. Kennedy, I did send a random text around to some people, and the list of people who wanted to join was long. And then I'm like, I know I'm going to get yelled at for a lot of people who see this, who were like, why didn't you ask me to be on? And so
wait, somebody's gonna yell at Jeff. That's so weird.
Yeah, I want to put it out there. There was some logistical things I was trying to work out, but we did this, and we did it for you because we care about you, and I know there's a lot more people. So I don't know if you want to have the final word before we all sign off here for our final day. But it's been a pleasure to have you as a teacher at Webster Schroeder. It's been a pleasure to have you as a friend, and we all know that's going to continue into the future. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it, and everybody who participated. Again, yes, I'm uncomfortable, but it also made me smile the whole time, and it went by in a blink of an eye. It really did. I can't believe 1989 became 2020 that fast. So I guess it just shows you if for any kid that is watching this, whatever you end up doing, you enjoy it. Bring your best personality to it, and bring along as many people as possible for the ride, because you're going to enjoy it so much more, whatever you do, doing it with friends and people that you can rely on.
That's it. That's a mic drop. All right, we're done. I'm going to end the broadcast there, everybody.
Great show.
Awesome show.
Thank you guys for all joining us today.
And everybody, and thank you to people that were watching. Mr. Groh, great to see you again. Mr. Lambert, take care of you and your mother there. Mr. DeWitt, I know we'll see you real soon. And of course, Mr. Kennedy, say goodbye. There you go. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.